Now, I often get questions, specific questions. I'll go through these quickly. This won't take too long. We'll finish on time. People often ask, well, what about those Bible verses that say there's none besides me? There's none like me. These are phrases that are not denying the existence of other Elohim, because there are verses that affirm the existence of Elohim. So unless you love a hopelessly contradictory Bible, okay, we need to adjust our thinking. These are not statements of denial of existence. They are statements of incomparability. And that's easy to demonstrate. I mean, we could take a tour through Deuteronomy. We don't have time for that. But if you look at Deuteronomy 4:35, there's one of these statements. Besides me, there's no God. There's actually 11 variations to this, all kind of similar, but expressing the same thought. There's none besides me. Well, if you looked at Deuteronomy 4:19 and 20, Deuteronomy 17, Deuteronomy 29, all the way up to Deuteronomy 32:17, which we just looked at a few moments ago, you will see that elsewhere in Deuteronomy, the reality of other Elohim is affirmed. Okay, you don't have 4 or 5 affirmations, and then verse 35, we have a contradiction. All that it's saying is there's a lot of Elohim. Yahweh's among them, but none of them are like him. He's unique. That's all it is. So, these statements are not an obstacle to what I'm saying. This is my favorite illustration of this, and I'm not going to click out to save time here. But there are 2 occasions, Isaiah 47, and yes, believe it or not, the book of Zephaniah is good for something. Okay? So Zephaniah 2:15. The poor minor prophets, man. They just okay. These phrases occur in these passages. In Isaiah 47, it's the city of Babylon saying, there's none besides me. What? Babylon thinks that she's the only city that exists? She's denying the existence of all other cities? That's ridiculous. The prophet wouldn't say that either, because the prophet's not a dunderhead, okay? In Zephaniah, it's Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. Different context. This is where he's doing his ministry. Nineveh says, there's none besides me. They're not saying, I'm the only city on the planet. All the other cities aren't real. No, it's saying, we're the best. We're incomparable. That's all it is. FAQ number 2, why does God need a council? We looked at 1 Kings 22, we looked at Daniel 7. I will click out to Daniel 4, it's kind of an interesting passage. This is Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, remember Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, and he sees a watcher, that is a holy one, here in verse 13, comes down from heaven, and they're going to talk about his dream. And essentially the holy one, the watcher, says, hey, I sure hope you like to eat grass, because that's going to be your diet for a while. You're going to be driven insane. You're going to be temporarily insane as a judgment from God because of your hubris and your pride. And look at what he says here. You go down to verse 17. He says, the sentence upon Nebuchadnezzar is by decree of the watchers, plural. The word of the holy ones. This decision is according to the word of the holy ones, plural. But a few verses later, we see, scroll down here. Come on. Keep going. Let me go back here. 24. This is the interpretation, O king. It is a decree of the Most High. There's only one of those. So the same sentence, the same judgment on Nebuchadnezzar is decreed by a group and by the Most High. This is participation. God allows them to participate. You say, well, why does God need a council? The answer is, he doesn't. He just likes to do stuff like this. He likes to create beings who are like him and let them partner with him. God doesn't need anything. When I get this question, I like to flip it around and say, why does God need you? Why does God need the church? I mean, couldn't God just decide who's going to be a believer and, we'll call it good now. I mean, I'm just tired of waiting for the Great Commission. I mean, good grief, look what time it is here. Can't he do that? Why did God have to give the Great Commission? No. God could just make all these decisions himself. But he doesn't do that. He likes the family business. Okay? That's what he wants. He wants children who are part of the family business. He's got supernatural children who work with him in that realm. He's got believers, human children of God in this realm who help him do what he wants done here. He doesn't need anything. What about Jesus? How can he be the Son of God if other divine sons of God are real? Again, it sounds like a difficult question, but it's a really easy question. John 3:16, you probably all know this verse. For God so loved the world that he gave his... See, only begotten is what a lot of translations have. Only begotten Son. Some have a better translation I'll get to in a moment. The Greek word there is monogenes. Now, in the old days of biblical scholarship, which was the first half of the 20th century backward, scholars thought that monogenes was composed of two Greek words. Monos, which means one or only. Mono, again, we can see that pretty easily. And then the second half they thought was from a verb, genao, to mean beget, like in having children. Monogenes, only begotten. That's actually where the translation comes from. Second half of the 20th century, that changed because there was more Greek material of the same Greek dialect as the New Testament, the Koine Greek. Actually, thousands and thousands, of lines worth of new material. And scholars were able to determine that, we were wrong about that. Monogenes actually comes from monos and gene, which means kind, one of a kind. Unique. This is why some of your more recent translations will translate that term as unique or something like that. And the really good sort of test case for that is Hebrews 11:17. This is the Hebrews 11, the Hall of Faith chapter. And you get to Abraham, and it says this: By faith Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac. And he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son. Okay, Bible trivia time. Was Isaac Abraham's only son? No. He wasn't even the firstborn, generally speaking. You had Ishmael. Ishmael was the son of Abraham by Hagar. So that tells you that the monogenes here, again, only son. Let's just open up our interlinear pane. Click on only, monogenes. It can't mean the only one that exists. It does mean unique. What was unique about Isaac? He's Sarah's boy, who could not have children. He is the son of the promise. That's why he's monogenes. And that's why Jesus is monogenes. He is unique. What makes Jesus unique among all other heavenly beings? He is Yahweh, who is unique. And that's actually why, we're not going to go into John chapter 10, but that's actually why Jesus quotes Psalm 82, verse 6 in John 10 to defend his deity. He's saying, look, fellas, doesn't your own scripture say, have God speaking to other sons of God? His point is that, there are other sons of God out there who are not human. They're supernatural. That's point number one, dudes. Okay, so when I say I'm more than a man, your own scripture says that category exists. So don't tell me it doesn't. And then he had just said, I and the Father are one. So I'm not only like a member of the council in the supernatural world, I'm the Lord of the council. Okay, I am him. And he follows that in verses 37, 38 by saying, the Father is in me and I'm in the Father. That's why he quotes it. To stick it to him. I like when Jesus sticks it to him. Significance, this is our last slide for this session. What I want you to take away from this, again, think of the template. The way God looks at his supernatural family and his partnership relationship with them is the way he looks at you. Because his supernatural family, do you realize this, existed before human creation. Okay, we're going to look at that in the next session, but in Job 38, the sons of God were witnesses when God laid the foundations of the world, and then God goes on to create humankind. He already has a family. God already has kids. Okay, before we get to Adam and Eve. And his relationship with them and his partnership with them are going to serve as a template for what he wants on earth.